When and where did it all start? How did we come to be? What is the exact origin of our existence? We all have stumbled upon this question every now and then, and according to ancient Egyptian mythology, the credit goes to Ra. He was their ultimate creator and god, whose eyes became the sun and the moon, and his story is arguably one of the most interesting ones from all mythologies. So in today's video, let's uncover Ra's mystery. As per the Egyptian mythology, before creation, only darkness embraced the primeval ocean, and from this ocean, life would come. When the breath of life was strong and ready, a being called Atum thought it was time for creation to begin. An island emerged from the water to support this divinity, which then manifested itself in the form of Ra, the sun god of Egypt. It is believed that among eternal nothingness, Ra willed himself into existence. In what is best understood as an anatomically implausible sequence of events, Ra then created the twins Shu and Tefnut via masturbation. When he was once traveling the world and noticed that everything was perfect, the sight made him cry. Humans were created from his tears that fell on earth. The heaven, the earth, and the underworld were all considered to be under his control. Thus, he was the most powerful being in the cosmos. Several myths about him might help you understand just how important he was. One story said that he was the supreme ruler of all other gods, while another held that he was the sole god and that all other gods were nothing more than different manifestations of him. Ra was depicted in a number of different ways. His most typical representation was that of a guy with the head of a falcon and a gleaming sun disk on top of his head. The Uraeus, a holy snake, is found encircling the solar disk. In some other representations, he is also shown as a man with a ram's or a beetle's head. His emblem, the sun disk, is consistently depicted in each of these images. He was also shown as a full-bodied phoenix, heron, snake, bull, cat, or lion, among other things. For the said depictions, Ra is said to have taken on several forms during the day. What remained constant was his representation of the sun. He was known to sail on a ship, the bark of millions of years, over the skies throughout the day. Throughout the course of the day, the name of his boat changed from Majet, which means growing strong, to Semektet, which means turning weak. He was thought to have passed away at the end of the day by being ingested by the sky goddess Nut. He traveled into the underworld when he passed away, leaving the moon in charge of illuminating the earth. While passing through the underworld, he was assaulted by the god Apep, who is represented by a huge snake. But he was saved by Seth, the Egyptian deity of chaos and anarchy, who accompanied Ra and defeated Apep. With this, Ra's voyage reached its completion, and he was reborn to begin his journey once again. Ra and other gods were frequently combined to ancient Egyptian mythology. He has been merged so many different times that mentions of a singular Ra are now relatively uncommon. He and Amun, another significant Egyptian deity, were joined to become the all-powerful Amun-Ra, a solar creator god. Amun-Ra was referred as the formal title of King of the Gods. Prior to Ra's ascendance during the 5th dynasty, Horus was the most revered divinity. Ra Harakati, which translates to Horus in the horizon, was created when him and Ra were combined. The morning manifestation of Ra was thought to be represented by the scarab beetle Khepri, and his evening manifestation by the ram-headed deity Khnum. At noon, he was at his strongest and was not combined with any other gods but known simply as Ra. The ancient Egyptians placed a great deal of emphasis on the emblem known as the Eye of Ra. According to a well-known tale, Ras Children, Shu and Tefnut, were traveling and got lost and went missing. At that time, Ra removed his eye and sent it to search for his children. The two kids were located by the eye, who then returned them to their father. Meanwhile, Ra grew another eye. Seeing this new eye, his previous eye felt betrayed and came into a fit of rage. So he gave the eye a strong place on his forehead in the shape of the Uraeus, the iconic snake that commonly appears in Egyptian art, to calm it down. His power was extended by the Eye of Ra, which served as both his feminine counterpart and a brutal force to conquer his enemies. While Ra had incredible power, there is a myth that suggests that he ended up becoming weak later. The Egyptians believe that names held power, so much so that gods went by pseudonyms to keep their power safe. The goddess Isis set out on a quest to learn Ra's hidden name as a result. When Ra grew old and weak, he slept off while sitting on his throne and drooled. Isis secretly gathered some of his drool and mixed it with a little of soil. She transformed this concoction into a poisonous serpent using her powers. Ra was a creature of routine, and he took the same way to see his world every day. At a crossroads, Isis let the serpent free and waited. Ra reached the crossroads in the way, and the snake struck. Now, he was ordinarily resistant to such attacks, but because this poison originated from within his own being, he was helpless against it and went in excruciating pain. Ra contacted his followers and announced his severe injury while in anguish. He inquired as to whether any of them could be able to provide treatment, but none could. After all of the others had tried and failed, Isis told Ra she could help him, provided that he told her his true name. Ra finally gave in and revealed his actual name to Isis. She then exercised a magical incantation to remove the poison from his body. She asked Ra to give her unborn son, Horus, both of his eyes, the sun and the moon, in return for her assistance. When Horus was old enough, he took over Ra's position as the sun god, allowing the elderly deity to retire from his tiresome daily responsibilities. Ra was highly revered as the creator of all that exists and the head of Heliopolis's pantheon. The ancient Egyptians thought that since God created the world and Ra has been ruler ever since, they owed their existence to him. The king, or pharaoh, was regarded as his heir apparent or successor. According to tradition, Ra brought order to a universe that was once chaotic, and the pharaohs were expected to do the same when they assumed the throne. Shu and Tefnut, two of Ras' children, gave birth to Geb and Nut. In contrast to other mythologies, the goddess Nut governed the skies, while the male ruler Geb ruled the earth. Nut was supposed to be Ra's bride, but she rejected him after falling in love with Geb. Ra, in a fit of rage, cursed her, saying that she should not give birth to a child in any month or year. The moon and the god Thoth were engaged in a game of draughts, or checkers, with Thoth frequently winning. He gathered his winnings, which equaled 1/72nd of the moon's brightness, and accumulated a total of 5 more days in the Egyptian calendar, which primarily only had 360 days in a year. So the 5 extra days were simply tacked on at the end of the year to align it with the solar calendar. As a result, Ra's curse did not apply to the additional 5 days that Thoth had obtained. When the intercalated days finally arrived, Nut gave birth to Osiris, Horus, Set, Isis, and Nephthys. And this brings us to the end of Ra's myth. What are your thoughts on it? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed watching this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay mythically mad.